Hi everybody, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Haramain's Laventure Night, which is their take on Creed's Green Irish Tweed. Stay tuned to FM. Yes, thanks for joining me for another video. I'm sitting down in this video today. I kind of alternate between standing up, sitting down. I'm filming this on a Friday afternoon, the week's winding down, so I'm just feeling chilled out, relaxed. So I thought a nice sitting down video would be good, and I'm sure wherever you are watching this, you're probably sitting down as well. Just having a cup of tea, so I'm just enjoying a hot drink. If you want to pull up a chair and grab yourself a drink, pause the video, go and do that, and we can do that together. So just a nice relaxed vibe for this video today. Okay, so the scent I'm talking about is Laventure Night from Haramain. So I'd previously had and owned and worn the Haramain Laventure, which was, in my opinion, a fantastic take on Aventus. I think it might have had an elemi note in there rather than the bergamot note. I mean, the differences were minute. In the air, it just smelled so similar to Aventus. And the thing that set that apart as a clone was the fact that it smelt so well blended, so well composed, so natural and smooth. Some of the other clones like Club de Nuit Intense Man, I've now tried that. I own a sample of that. I wanted to try it out and have an opinion on it, just for testing purposes really. And I found it to be a little bit synthetic, a little bit chemical, particularly in the opening. I didn't really enjoy it. I've got lots of clones of Aventus and I've got some real Aventus as well. So I don't need Club de Nuit Intense Man in my life. Now I know it's really affordable. I know a lot of people out there enjoy it, and that's fine. For me, it's not the Creed clone that I would go to if I was choosing to go for a Creed clone. Generally, from the Armafs that I've smelled, I find that Haramain's compositions do seem to be of higher quality, generally, and that is the case for Laventure Night, which we'll go into a little bit further into this video. So here it is. Here's the lovely shiny reflective bottle, and let's start off by taking a look at the notes. So in here, Haramain have thrown in some lemon verbena, some bergamot, tea, iris, violet leaf, ozonic notes, ambergris, powdery notes. It just says powdery on their website, but I assume that's powdery notes, sandalwood and musk. So Haramain's intention is to recreate that scent profile of Creed's Green Irish Tweed. So let's just talk a little bit about Green Irish Tweed, just for people who maybe haven't tried it. It might just give you an idea of what this smells like. So Green Irish Tweed is one of Creed's most popular fragrances. It came out in 1985, so it's been around for a long time. And it has the very similar notes to Laventure Night. So we've got some iris and lemon verbena in the opening, and then in the heart, which to me is the beating heart of Green Irish Tweed, it's that lovely violet leaf note. And then we've got some ambergris and some sandalwood in the base, just smoothing things out. It's described as having an almost freshly cut grass type of smell. It's got a greenness to it. I think this is provided by something called dihydromercenol, which you find in a lot of fragrances, but I think it's got a distinctive scent profile, which is what helps give Green Irish Tweed that kind of fresh green accord. If you've smelt Davidoff's Cool Water, it's pretty much the same scent profile as that, so if you're familiar with that, which is much more accessible because it is a cheaper fragrance, then you'll have a great idea of what Green Irish Tweed smells like. Cool Water, whilst it's nice and whilst it's good value, and I have owned that in the past, it's a little more synthetic, not quite as refined, perhaps not composed of as expensive ingredients as Green Irish Tweed is. So you can tell a little bit of a difference in the quality. I mean, the untrained nose perhaps wouldn't tell that much of a difference in the air. So Cool Water is a good option if you think Green Irish Tweed is too expensive for you, or maybe this one from Haramain is. So I've been comparing this to Green Irish Tweed. So I have a little sample here provided from fragrancesamples.uk.com, which I've been testing just so I can formulate a good opinion on this one for you. And the first thing I would say about this is there's very little difference between this and Creed's Green Irish Tweed. This is going to be one of those videos where I say Green Irish Tweed a lot. I think I did a review for Parfums Vintage Emerald Isle, which I'll also refer to in this video, and I think I've probably said Green Irish Tweed about 50 times, so bear with me. I think it sounds better than saying GIT or GIT. Maybe I'll say GIT, maybe that's better. Let's see. So I've been comparing these two, and I have Laventure Night sprayed on this hand, and I have Green Irish Tweed sprayed on this hand. And you know, I'm going to be honest with you at this point, Green Irish Tweed isn't my favourite of the Creed scents. It's not my favourite type of scent profile. It's classed as a fougere, and I find it's not really, it's got a greenness to it, but it's not a really green fragrance, and I'm not particularly drawn to green fragrances anyway. I love resinous, woody fragrances. It isn't really one of those either. It's not really a fresher fragrance. It is a pretty versatile fragrance though, and it's supposed to, it's said that it will conjure the imagery of walking through the Irish countryside, so it's kind of got a fresh greenness to it. So when I'm smelling these side by side, there's very little difference. I'm really impressed with the blending and the composition of Laventure Night. If you pushed me, I would possibly say I get maybe just a hint of sweetness that's a little more in the original Green Irish Tweed than it is in Laventure Night. But there's hardly anything in it, and I think that is only really going close on skin. What I perceive to be the beating heart of Green Irish Tweed, the violet leaf, which I've mentioned, is really faithfully recreated in Laventure Night. I'm really impressed with how natural, and violet leaf to me brings this almost slightly floral but thick, creamy vibe or texture to the fragrance. And in terms of that, in terms of what I think is the heart of GIT, Laventure Night recreates that beautifully. It's really well done. And you know, I've been wearing these side by side, and I've not really been able to tell much of a difference at all. I wish I could come up with some more differences really, which might help you make the decision if this was one that you were thinking of buying, but there really aren't that many differences. It's maybe a little more of the lemon verbena citrusy vibe in the opening of Laventure Night, but I'm really, you know, really being picky about that. In the air, I think I would really struggle to tell these two apart, as I think I would have done between Laventure and Aventus in the air. And you know, you can say to the untrained nose, I feel like my nose is becoming better and better, my sense of smell, but you know, what is an untrained nose? I'm not a perfumer, I haven't studied perfumery, most people out there haven't. Maybe someone who is an expert and who has studied perfumery and really knows every single note very well would be able to pick out more differences than me. But let's say I've got a relatively informed opinion, because I feel like I've smelled a lot of different notes and different scent profiles over the time that I've been interested in fragrances and doing this channel. So you get that lovely violet leaf, and what is also impressive about Laventure Night is how smooth it is. Sometimes with clones, you can tell which one is the clone because it's not quite as thick and smooth, and the notes just don't seem to be as smoothly connected and combined within the fragrance, whereas Laventure Night does that really well. It is very smooth, it's got that depth to it that GIT has, and yeah, it just recreates it really well. In the air, I've been wearing this on its own without having tested it against GIT. You know, I feel like I'm going out wearing Green Irish Tweed. That's all there is to it, really. I've wore it on several occasions. I was out and about today. I was on a train. I went on a train to Leeds to record a voiceover, and it's very cold. It snowed here in York today, and I was getting great projection throughout the cold weather, so it's a fantastic performer. I think it equals Green Irish Tweed in terms of its performance, both in its projection and in its longevity. And what was great, where I can tell the quality of this, is the fragrance seems to have like a thickness to it, so I was getting lovely wafts. And when I wear a fragrance, ideally I want to be getting wafts of what I'm wearing to enjoy it myself over a good few hours. So when I wear this fragrance, I will get kind of 8-9 hours of this lovely kind of these lovely wafts floating up and giving me the scent. So Laventure Night does do that, just in the same way that Creed's Green Irish Tweed does. So if you were thinking of purchasing Green Irish Tweed, but it's too expensive for you, and you were looking for an alternative, then this is one option. I'm going to go through another 3 clone options to Green Irish Tweed very shortly. I will get to it. The price of this one though first is on Al Haramain's website, on their UK website I believe this is. I think they're selling it for £45, whether they do discount codes or not, and that's for 100ml. And you know, you might like this bottle design. I think it's different, it's unique. It is a fingerprint magnet, so you might want to just wear some white gloves every time you pick this bottle up, just so you don't put the fingerprints on it. You might be able to see fingerprints on this. I've been handling it quite a bit, but it's different, it's unique. Same design as the other Laventure series. I have seen this going for about £37 on Latino, so I think that is probably the cheapest place that you will find it. And £37 for 100ml of a fragrance that faithfully recreates, certainly in the air, the scent profile of Green Irish Tweed is in my opinion good value. So if you're not bothered about the prestige factor of knowing that you're owning a Creed fragrance, and you're all about having the same scent, but you're not bothered about having a Creed bottle on your shelf and knowing in your own mind that you own a Creed. If you're just thinking about the scent itself and how you want to smell as you go out and how you want others to smell you, then this will do the job. I don't know if you can get samples of this. I will always say try and sample if you can, because fragrances do work differently off everybody. It does work really well off my skin. I hope it does off yours, but there's a chance that it will work differently, so sample if you can. But in my humble opinion, it's a lovely take on Green Irish Tweed. Now let's just talk about 3 other clones that I've also been testing on skin, because I think testing on paper isn't ever accurate enough. So the first one, I'm going to talk about Nuit from Armaf. Now, whenever I have mentioned anything about a Creed clone, whether it's Perfume Parlours or Parfums Vintage or a Laventure Night, people will always say, as they do about Clos de Nuit Intense Man with reference to Aventus, they say, how does this compare to Nuit? And I'm going to tell you. So I've got Nuit sprayed here, and you do get that Green Irish Tweed scent profile. I don't get as pronounced lemon verbena, so I don't get as much of a citrus in the opening. In fact, the opening was a little strange, just as I find the opening a little strange in Club de Nuit Intense Man. But that only lasted maybe 5-10 minutes, and it wasn't a repulsive smell, it was just a slightly odd smell to the opening. I couldn't describe to you what it is or what notes it was, but there was just a little edge in the opening, but that quickly settles down. And I feel Nuit is... it doesn't have the violet leaf in the same way, which again, being the heart of Green Irish Tweed, it doesn't quite match the scent profile. It's there and thereabouts. You can tell it's going for Green Irish Tweed. It doesn't quite get there. Whether Armaf were intending on it being 100% faithful recreation, I'm not sure. But in my opinion, it isn't. But it's still very nice. I think it's sweeter than Green Irish Tweed. And whilst I like Green Irish Tweed, I do gravitate more towards sweeter fragrances, which is why I like Nuit. And it's a little creamier, perhaps in the base, and a little sweeter. And you know what, it settles really nicely. If I was wanting to completely replace Green Irish Tweed, I probably wouldn't go for Nuit. But as a scent on its own, that is very affordable. It's a really nice scent. So again, if you can sample Nuit, then by all means go for it. And you may think that this is perfect clone of Green Irish Tweed. Again, this is just how it's working off my skin, and we all have different skin chemistry. So apologies if my experience of Nuit doesn't match with yours, and if it works really well and you're happy with it, then that's great, because it is a good cheap option. So yeah, very nice scent, but not as close as Laventure Night. The other one I'm going to mention is Green Island Tweed, which is Perfume Parlours version. Now, I remember doing a video about this probably over a year ago now, I think it was, and I really liked it. I couldn't really tell much of a difference. Now, I think two things could have happened in that time. I've become more familiar with the Green Irish Tweed scent profile. I've become better at picking out notes. I've become better at distinguishing two different fragrances from one another. But I find that this almost has a mentholy, slightly minty, herbal hint to its opening. And I don't know if it's always had that, or I've had this bottle for over a year. It has been kept in a drawer in the dark, so it's not been exposed to sunlight. Whether it's changed or not in the bottle from when I first tried it, I'm not sure. But I don't feel that it's all the way there. Again, it's still really nice, and the dry down is slightly different as well. I get there's something in the dry down, there's something in the base that is a little resinous maybe, which Green Irish Tweed doesn't have to the same degree. So again, you can tell it's going for the same scent profile, and in the air most people perhaps wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Again, this is just me going at it on skin. So I'd say it probably gets as close as Nuit. I don't think either of them are all the way there or as close as Laventure Night, but they're both really nice, and they're both a good alternative. Perfume Parlours, of course, being the cheapest. I think it's about £5 or so for this 13mm sprayer size. They do bigger sizes as well, but I always test them, so I get this the smaller size. So really good value. Performance isn't quite as good as the original and as Laventure Night, but at this price, you know, you can respritz, and this size is nice and handy to take out with you. So again, enjoyable, but not as close as Laventure Night. Now, the other one I want to talk about, which I've also been asked about, which I've done a review on, it's Parfums Vintage Emerald Isle. Now, this one does really recreate that Green Irish Tweed scent profile very nicely. What it does though, it boosts the heart of the fragrance, it boosts the violet leaf note, and it does so to the extent that this violet leaf becomes very thick and even creamier than in Green Irish Tweed and Laventure Night. I have that one sprayed here, and you know, I really like this. I like how Parfums Vintage do boost certain notes, popular notes in fragrances. That's kind of the thing that they do, rather than just trying to be 100% carbon copy of the original. So really interesting angle on what they're doing with their fragrances. So I like the fact that the violet leaf is really boosted in Emerald Isle, and I think it takes that scent profile of Green Irish Tweed and it amplifies it. It's stronger, it lasts longer. This is pretty much a beast performer. Better performance than the original, and better performance than Laventure Night. So if you like that aspect of Green Irish Tweed and you think that you might want that amped up a little bit more, then Emerald Isle would be the one to go for. I really enjoy this. I think this is a good alternative to the Green Irish Tweed scent profile. Now, I will say that because it boosts the violet leaf note more so than in the original, it means that Laventure Night, I think, in my opinion, is closer to Green Irish Tweed because it doesn't have that boosted violet leaf. So if you want a fragrance that is really nicely composed, really nicely blended, and very close to Green Irish Tweed to the point where no one will really be able to tell the difference, then Laventure Night is probably the one to go for. If you want the amplified notes of the heart of the fragrance, then the Parfums Vintage, Emerald Isle. If you want the best value version, then Perfume Parlour is a good option to go for. And if you want another good value version that is very nice, but not quite recreating the scent profile of GIT, then the Armaf one is a good one to go for. So pros and cons for each option, but if you're talking about the best and most faithful recreation, I would say it's Laventure Night. At this point, I do want to say, I've forgotten to say it earlier in the video, that Haramain did contact me and ask me if they could send me a fragrance to make a video on. I didn't know which one they were sending me until I opened it. I did do a live unboxing of that on Instagram, so I didn't know I was getting this one. I've really enjoyed testing it, so thanks to Haramain for sending me this, and rest assured that my opinions are honest, as they always are. But I just wanted to talk about this and give you the information and let you know how it compares to all the other Green Irish Tweed based options. I haven't tried Duas, I haven't tried Alexandrias. I've heard they're good. But I don't have personal experience with those, so if anyone has tried those, I would love to hear from you. Let me know how close to GIT you think those are. Leave some comments down below. So I think that just about wraps up this video. I hope I've given you all the necessary information. If you've got yourself a drink at the start of this video, I hope you've enjoyed it. I've been talking too much, so I've still got half a mug of Earl Grey tea left here. All that's left to say is, if you have experience with any of these fragrances, I'd love to know your opinion on them. Have you tried Laventure Night? Let me know. It's always great to get a conversation going, and it helps all the other viewers of this video to see lots of different opinions rather than just my own. So I like to think that these videos are not just about me giving you my opinion. It sets up a nice forum for other people to give their opinions as well. So anyone interested in this fragrance, anyone considering buying it, can have the most informed collection of opinions possible. So leave some comments and let's get a conversation going. With all that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you found it enjoyable. I hope you found it useful, and maybe a little bit relaxing, just like me having a nice sit-down review. So thanks for watching, everybody, and remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.